everybody. I'm Peter. I'm spent the last 23 hours to go to Texas. Thank you about your time. A very short introduction about me. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a dermatologist. I'm expert in the lasers and the physical methods using in the dermatology. I'm teacher of the oldest Poland University in Krakow, University Jagiellonian one. This is second oldest university in Europe after Florence, first one, 700 years. And I'm in the unit of experimental dermatology and the cosmetology. I'm an R&D expert. I make, for example, project a new epilation laser, who will have a launching in the next week in the biggest Congress of Aesthetic Medicine in the Monte Carlo. But from private way, I'm an investor. We have a family office with my colleagues, doctors and the engineers. We have a few projects. And today, I would like to introduce and to show you excellent new technology in the diagnostic. This is a special version of the PCR, and I would like to introduce my friend, my younger partner in the business, Miron Tokarski, who is CEO of this company, and he will present you what we would like to show you. And after we're waiting for your questions. Miron,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Piotr, for this nice introduction. Good afternoon for you, or good evening in Poland, as there is a slight time change between Texas and Poland. So thank you very much for the chance to present Genomtec in front of you. I'll be really happy to tell you more about the project. In that way. So first of all, I would like to tell you a little bit more about the company. So Genomtec was established in late 2016 in Poland by me and my two other colleagues from Wrocław Academia, from Wrocław Medical University and also Wrocław University of Technology. So very close to Krakow, not so old, however, still very experienced engineers and also university fellows. So we are located in two different places. Our headquarters is located in Wrocław. This is Western Poland, and we also have our engineering office in Kent in UK. And this is a place where our production engineers are working on the industrialization of our analyzer, together with our CDMO partner located also in Kent in UK. Right now, the company is a little bit over 22 employees. We are talking about the full-time employees, and we are also listed on the New Connect market, so market for smaller innovative companies of Warsaw Stock Exchange. We go through the IPO, which is quite common for Polish companies, early last year. So in total, this is a little bit over 12 months since we are after IPO. The executive team consists of 6 experienced people, except me. I'm a molecular biologist and a laboratory medicine specialist by training. We are also supplied by Chardat Sach, our Chief Business Officer. Chardat has over 10 years of experience working for such companies like Biomerieux or previously BioFire and the BioFire project, introducing the BioFire to Europe and Middle East. He also worked in Spartan Biosciences and Luminex, working on the respiratory panel. From the financial perspective, we are supplied by Michał, who is also a very experienced partner in finances and also very experienced in terms of novel, rapidly growing companies. We are also supported by our CTO, Jason Rees. Jason is also a very experienced person working with a team of engineers in UK. Jason, over 30 years of experience working on IVDs, especially in the microfluidic space for such companies like Novartis, PerkinElmer, Becton Dickinson. He is responsible for several IVDs that are currently available on the market. And we are, of course, supported also by our Chief Marketing Officer and Chief Product Officer, who are working hand in hand with Chardat on the development of the business development and sales of our current products and the Genomtec ID. So how we are changing the diagnostics? We are focused on bringing the genetic testing closer to the patient, closer to the doctor. Because right now, the vast majority of testing is done outside of the doctor's office in very specialized laboratories that are able to perform sophisticated DNA and RNA analysis. And this is connected with a very long time from sample to result, and is also associated with multiple visits of a patient if there is if the infection is suspected. So during the first visit, usually the doctor refers a patient to a genetic test for the sample needs to be taken and usually shipped to this well-equipped laboratories where the sample is extracted and prepared, and DNA and RNA is extracted. Then the reaction is set up and the laboratory analysis is performed. And just the analytical phase of genetic testing takes approximately 4 hours. But what is really painful here is the time that passes from the first consultation to the time that the doctor can introduce a proper targeted therapy, as usually this is more than 24 hours. In multiple cases, this is around 3 to 7 days. And with Genomtec, with our platform, we are changing this. Our technology enables the test to be performed during a single visit. So the sample is taken by the doctor or by the nurse and then transported into the microfluidic reaction card. The card is inserted into the analyzer and we press run. The time to result is approximately 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the assay that we are using. And the analytical phase is equal in length to the total time to result, because every step is happening right in the doctor's office and the system is fully automated. What is quite unique with our technology is that we are able to shrink down the size of the analyzer thanks to the patented photonic contactless heating and detection system. In that way, the reaction card that you can see on the left is built as a fully passive microfluidic reaction card. A fully passive means that there are no active components like sensors, like heaters, and like electronic components that are in many cases embedded into the typical point-of-care microfluidic cartridges. This optical heating technology is also very precise in terms of heating. So unlike our PCR competitors, we are able to precisely control temperature throughout the different areas of microfluidic reaction card. And in that way, we are able to perform multiplexing. That means that we are able to search for up to 5 different pathogens or targets in general on a single reaction card from a single sample. That gives much broader information to the doctor. This is much more than a simple single test that is available today for a point-of-care solution that informs, for example, if this is COVID or this is flu. But if you want to distinguish COVID and flu, you need to take usually 2 tests, whereas in our case, in the same time and in the same price range, you can have up to 5 different pathogens tested through the genetic testing. And this brings also significant cost leadership and also enables a true point-of-care solution. On our side, we are also developing our primers and reaction mixtures as a molecular biologist, and this is something that I'm really proud of because we are able to achieve short amplification time and very low limit of detection, together with a high accuracy of results, and everything of this in a handheld analyzer that can be put on the doctor's desk. And what is really important here is also the shelf life of our reagent, because in many cases, reaction cards that are intended to use in a point-of-care devices require storage at around 4 to 6 centigrade. In our case, all the reagents that are thermolabile are freeze-dried so that we can store the reaction card in a room temperature for at least 6 months. We can store and ship in the room temperature, which also improves the shipping cost and also makes it easier for the doctors to maintain the inventory of those reaction cards. So our ambition is to bring the solution that usually is associated with laboratory or stat laboratories in the near patient settings in hospital to local clinics, physician offices, retail pharmacy, and also ultimately to the home of every single patient for self-testing. This is a little bit more time needed for self-testing for such systems to be introduced. However, retail pharmacy, physician offices, and local clinics is the place where we want to address the market in the first place. And this is connected, of course, with the ease of operation. This is also connected with a short turnaround time. The categories, the points that we are right now meet those criteria for a point of care solution. In terms of market, the market is really big. It is still growing, and those estimations that you can see here are calculated without the influence of COVID. With COVID, we have a additional force that gives us additional space in the market, and we also are addressing this as our chemistry. Right now is certified in European Union for COVID testing in laboratories. This is something that is not associated right now with the microfluidic reaction card, but just with the reagents. However, we have proven that this technology works, is fully certified across the EU. And in particular, the microfluidic-based point of care testing market is also growing, and the vast majority of this market is connected with molecular diagnostics, the one that we are operating in. So the planned pipeline is associated with the needs of both the healthcare system and also the patients and the insurance companies. Our first product will be the 5-plex panel, the respiratory panel that enables the detection of SARS-CoV-2, flu AB, RSV, and 2 atypical bacteria that gives very similar symptoms to, for example, flu SARS-CoV-2, and can deteriorate into very severe community-acquired pneumonia cases, especially in children and elderly people. The next panel that will follow within 9 to 12 months after the first panel is associated with sexually transmitted infection. This group is also growing very steeply, and this market is also going to be addressed by Genomtec within the next 12 months. When we will compare the standard real-time PCR system to the SNAT and LAMP system that we are based on, it gives a huge improvement in terms of the limit of detection, which is much lower, the energy efficiency and the time to result, the size. The system is fully mobile instead of, even in many cases, fully automated, but still stationary systems for genetic testing. And what is really important for a point of care market, this market is a decentralized market. Right now, the vast majority of systems that are intended for point of care testing by using genetic techniques costs above $15,000 US. With our system, the estimated price is below $2,500. So in general, you can get twice as much devices for the same price, which is really important in terms of this decentralized system and decentralized testing for point of care solutions. And if you look at our competitors like Bing's Health, Roche, QIAGEN, Lucira, Q Health, or Abbott ID Now, we are the only solution that combines the multiplexing ability of QIAGEN QIAstat, short time to result of Q Health or Roche, with true portability and mobile system that enables the storage of reaction card in room temperature and also gives highly accurate and sensitive results. This is really important in terms of, for example, Lucira Health, Q Health, or Abbott ID Now that are operating on a raw sample. The raw sample means that there is no particular purification of genetic material that happens, for example, in our system or in the system of Roche or QIAGEN, because by utilizing this sample purification, we are able to additionally improve the limit of detection. And those systems like Q Health, Lucira Health are usually intended for viral infections because the viral load in a sample is much higher than the bacterial load. And those systems that operates on raw sample are not that accurate when dealing with the bacterial infections, which are really, really common also in respiratory tract infections, not to mention sexually transmitted diseases. So where we are right now. So throughout the 2016 to 2021, we have been able to test our idea of optical heating to get the patents that are valid in US, Japan, European Patent Office, and we are still waiting for the decision from Canada and Brazil. We have obtained the ISO 13485 certification. We have introduced and fully certified in European Union COVID-19 laboratory kits. And we are on the final stage of the industrialization of our analyzer. Right now, we have started the clinical performance studies that are happening here in Poland and in France. We will be testing in total 800 samples, 800 patients across Poland, 400, and France, 400, for the CIVDD approval, the directive approval in May of this year. Then we would like to start a small-scale production and commercialize the device in EU according to the IVDD directive. Then we would like to start the clinical performance studies in US and apply for the FDA 510(k) regulatory approval, and also start medium to large scale production with our CDMO partner. So the most important aspect here is scaling the production. Right now we have 15 devices that are used for clinical performance studies, but we need to go into hundreds of analyzers and millions of the reaction card. And this is where the financial support is needed. And in this area, we want to leverage our CDMO partners that are based in the UK for the analyzer and in Germany for the reaction card. So we don't want to address the mass manufacturing on our own. We want to outsource this. And all the documentation right now is being developed either by our CDMOs or by our team with very close cooperation with those very experienced companies in the IVD sector. In terms of the way to commercialization, first of all, we will focus on the displacement strategy. So we'll address the needs of current laboratories that are not performing genetic testing because of the low sample throughput or inefficient systems for such genetic testing. Further down the road, we would like to address the disruption point of view. So we would like to address the doctor's offices, healthcare settings, point of care healthcare settings, where this kind of testing is really important. But this also requires a different strategy, different distributors, because the vast majority of distributors right now on the market operates on the typical phase that address the needs of laboratories. Several laboratories on a certain area, whereas we're dealing with doctors' offices, the number is 10 or 100 times more than the number of laboratories on a given area. So here you can see our plan for commercialization. So the IVDD submission in the middle of this year, and then we would like to follow with the IVDR in the next iteration of regulatory that will happen in European Union after May of this year. And the very important aspect, the short-term focus on the growth phase. So the short-term focus right now is to obtain the product registration in May of this year, scale up the production, scale up the team with a particular focus on sales and cooperation with distributors, and also US market entry, following that with the expanding sales force and support organization for growing market, and many expansion for the sexually transmitted infections and scaling the production to large-scale manufacturing. So right now, in total, we have 6 patents and over 20 international patents pending. We have we are addressing the very big market of respiratory point of care testing. We have proven that the technology works, the technology that can be industrialized. We have a pilot production of Genomtec ID. We are ready for the design transfer for scaling up. We are right now in the process of clinical validation of our system and obtaining CIVD registration. And we are also aiming for the commercialization of the system in the middle of 2022. And of course, we are looking for support. We are looking for distributors. We are looking for additional capital needed with our exit strategy, quite similar in this market, like acquisition, the minority stake of the blue chips in the industry, or asset purchase. So that in a nutshell. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I will be happy together with Piotr to answer those questions. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. So you talked about distribution of the product. Can you talk a little bit about how you distribute it, et cetera? Are you going to do self-distribution? You're going to partner with some people to distribute it?
Our project is to make a huge brand international. This is why we would like to make a network of distribution. It is impossible to have all world. Now, in May, we will be ready for the Europe, Middle East, and Far East. We need the money to help us to growing trademark, to be strong. And the second step, important for us, immediate, is to start to make a FDA. We have a ready files. We have a ready frozen company in Delaware. And we would like to make a very quick FDA certification because US market is important for us too.
But the intent is to self-distribute. You're going to distribute yourself. Great. And who's the payer? Who pays for this device? Hospitals,
questions, because in some kind of a private insurance and the public insurance too. Sorry, Miron, because please tell your opinion. I don't want to be only one.
Yeah, so you are right. So it all depends from on the market. So in US, this is a little bit different because there is a coverage for such a test. There is a already CPT code for this amplification test. So this is a multiplex amplification test. Sorry, I don't recollect exact number of the CPT code, but yes, there is an exact number for such test. It is reimbursed in US. In Europe, this is a little bit different because it varies from country to country. So this is very important to understand that in markets like, for example, Germany, this test is already reimbursed, for example, for people over 60. In Poland, unfortunately, those tests are not reimbursed in the point of care in a general practice, in the general practitioners. It can be reimbursed during the visit to the specialist, like, for example, a laryngologist. And in France, for example, this is fully reimbursed also. So it differs from market to market. That's why we would like to first address the needs of the private healthcare sector in Europe, which is more, which is simply easier to address because you don't need to look at the needs. We'd also like to address the needs of those smaller laboratories in hospitals, because those tests in an inpatient setting are generally reimbursed throughout the Europe. And then we'd like to also start the discussions with FDA for the 510(k) regulatory approval.
How big is the market? So it's like when you are able to distribute it in Europe, you don't have to go through any regulatory, country regulatory aspects. But what you're talking about the Middle East also, is that also something where you don't?
In Europe now, from May, we have a whole Europe, 400 million people open market, because we have a file, general, not a national, but a federal for all Europe. We'll be ready to the immediate selling in all 400 million people market.
Okay.
Next, and the same Britain, because Britain formally is outside of the United Europe, but from legalized way is still in Europe. We can go immediately to now with our partners. We will work about national health system to paying for our test in the Britain. In the Middle East, that will be very easy way to go, especially in Gulf. I'm after many interesting meetings. Last week, I have been in the Dubai, and there are networks of the drugstores, which is very important market. And this is a new service for these guys. And these guys enough powerful to very quick certification based on our files. Same Far East. Far East only problem with China, but we don't want to go to China because we are afraid about the reverse R&D. We would like to make money on the Europe, Gulf, and the rich, but protect, you know, legal place where our IP will be safe, far east. What do you think?
Yeah, so yes, you are right. So in terms of the Middle East markets, that's a particular interest because the vast majority of the Middle East markets enable, let's say, something which we may call a recertification. So once you have the CIVD approved product in Europe, you can use this approval process to get registration, for example, United Arab Emirates or other countries, which is easier. We are also following the regulations of something which is called MDSAP. So this is Medical Device Single Audit Program. And throughout this cooperation with a notified body, we are working with one of the most widely known in Europe and also probably in US. This is TÜV Rheinland, German notified body that will also certify the MDSAP process that opens the door for faster, we can say faster track to registration in multiple countries like US, Canada, Australia, and Israel. So those countries are, we can then follow with a fast track to get the regulatory approval after we are MDSAP compliant.
Have you considered any licensing agreements where you don't have to distribute, just license it to somebody else? Are those?
Yes, we also right now we even have the discussions with some Scandinavian companies regarding the cooperation on the, let's say, hardware plus reagents from their side. But then this is the only thing that I can right now talk about because we are under NDA.
Can you go back? Can you put your slideshow back up and go back to that one slide on the usage of the capital raised?
Yeah, just give me a moment. I need to get back to the slide.
Keep on going. Yep, keep on going. Oh, was that it? The resources? So you're going to bring on new staff and you're looking for more.
Yeah, so the vast majority of the additional assets that we expect to get is related to, of course, growing the company and scaling up the manufacturing components. Because right now the reaction cards in the volume of couple of hundreds per week are being made by our CDMO partner manually. When you want to scale up and lower the manufacturing cost of those reaction cards, you need to go into semi-automated way, and this is the scale up of production. And of course, it requires investment. And then when we are talking about the US market and still growing, and also making the expansion of the menu of our testing, like like sexually transmitted infections, like acute infections, sepsis infections, and then we are moving into fully automated manufacturing, which also requires some capital. We have that luck that one of our partners that we are cooperating.
Okay, our idea is to locate this automatic system first in the Poland, but how we know we would like safety our ideas, and this is why we are now in Texas, because we would like to have a next production plant somewhere in US. This is our goal for future. For you know, we are know what our friends fighters will be give a safe for the Poland, and Russian, they will not go to us. We are safe, business in Poland is safe, but we would like to have a second production line in the US in the future.
Sure.
So it is also important to mention that our current partner the CDMO partner for the analyzer right now has also US production lines. So those analyzers that will be devoted to US market will be produced in US. The European market will be addressed by the UK facility, and the same applies to more or less the reaction cards, because we are working with two partners. Right now we are working with the German partner with a production line located in Germany, but we are also working with an Australia-based company that have production lines in Australia with a higher throughput. So depending on the volume that we'll order and the manufacturability and the production scale, we can choose to either stay within the US partner, the German partner, or switch to the Australian partner, which is a leading microfluidic-based production facility. And this is really important because this is something that I would like to mention, is that this technology convinced the Australian-based company in the way that they would like to participate in the cost of bringing this production line into life. So that we do not need 100% of the costs. It is something around 50%. The rest will be covered by their advanced fund for manufacturing. So this technology, even in those discussions, has proven to be quite unique in terms of the properties and unique advances regarding the microfluidic system.
How do you guys handle the data? Like, so when people are given the test, you collect all the data there. Do you have like something that consolidates the data? You can do reports. How does that happen?
You know, a system now is a local, and only information is in our machine. But we are ready to make it connect to the digital, you know, safe internet. This is only question about software, but now is data is only locally by the safety of the medical data. Let's stay.
Yeah, because we are still quite constrained in terms of time, and also in terms of the IT team, which requires a lot of work and additional meeting additional standards for the wireless transmission of data. Right now, you will be able to generate a QR code on the analyzer and export the data through the QR code. But the analyzer is a feature proof. It has an option to add a Bluetooth connection, so that you will be able to connect this to your computer, to your smartphone, and then have this electronic health record system data for the electronic health system data available.
Great. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much. Great presentation, and
thank you very much.
In the future. Thanks so much.
Thank
you very much. Great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.